Howdy, all you delicious people! I'm here today to review Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, episodes 1 through 5, technically. Or you can also go on and write this off as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3, X number of episodes that are to be listed down below in the title. Because eventually I'm to go on and do my due diligence there, but not also here while saying exactly what those numbers are. So, we make our way into these bit of episodes here, and albeit that I have to say, of course, that the writing of these episodes are to be very story arc and to be very lazily and phoned in and stretched and what have you. And the writing quality is very poor. I don't care what the excuse is. Like, it's just me being honest. So, but regardless of that, like, because they can go on and they can just say, it's like, well, hey, like, we had to go on and we had to write in a group of kids. We also had to go on and write in these alien rangers. Like what would you have us do? Like, how can we go on and make this any better than what it really is? Like, if anything, yeah, like, clearly when you go on and you have a show like this, like when you're not to have the normal Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in it, and not the Jason Div Franks and what have you, yeah, it's just going to be a less than show. But regardless, this show is going to try with its cast of characters to make the best of this, and what have you. Which, let's go on and let's bring up the positives. So, I'm to honestly go on and enjoy where we bring in the young Rangers and they have to figure out a strategic way of how to go on and how to still beat the Tango Warriors and Rito and Zed, or Rio and Goldar. How they go on and they have like that Macaulay Culkin Home Alone strategy with the whole like I was legit hoping that they're gonna actually have like paint cans and tied to a string, but if anything, they have this rope and this beam that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, this beam goes flying and ends up hitting one of the Tango Warriors. So we go on to eventually have the Alien Rangers meet up with the Young Rangers, and there is this introduction kind of gap there. There is eventually the Alien Rangers need to go to the command center to learn the Power Rangers technologies because they're going to take over the Shogun Megazord and the Shogun Zords, and need to figure out what to at all points call out, like morphing times and stuff of that nature. But so also, while that's going on, we are to also have the young Rangers try to figure out how to become their normal age selves. That they're trying to go on and trying to come up with devices and try to also come up with devices to help out the equations so that way they'll go on and become hydrated so that way they won't have to leave the planet. We also come to find in one of the episodes where there is to be explosive or implosive device within the front of the command center. It seems like quite a bit of delay for an alarm going off. But anyways, also, how is it that we are to go on and just have this bomb just planted in front of the command center? It's just like really, like they couldn't come up with a better thing to have gone on and done. Like, man, you could have had Lord Zed or Rita just use their wand and just like bah and just done something with the command center. But yeah, like we would go on and find that eventually there would be a way of which to try to get rid of the command center and eventually the power chamber, and those end up becoming quite a bit of interesting bit of episodes to see how that is to all come and be, and eventually lead us to the Astro Megaship and in space and what have you. But anyways, we're kind of getting a little ahead of ourselves. So we push on here. So if anything, once we get to actually the third episode of this, I was actually a lot more entertained. And then, man, once we get to the fifth episode, I was like, yeah, like the story is kind of a lot better than some of the other ones out of the five. And then I really like and enjoy the monster, that whole joystick from the the shoes thing, the whole just video game like character is really fun. Going up against the alien rangers in the water park, that was really some fun ideas there. We have the rangers that are all just kind of sitting by these poolside areas and just having a bit of fun. And like this is the alien rangers in their perfect element going up against this threat here, which is to be voiced by none other than the guy who was Bulk Paul, which was really fun. They basically also kind of recreate that whole episode where Rocky had switched places with the teacher, and then the teacher had become the monster in this episode. I don't exactly know if I'm going to get the name perfect within right circumstances of the name not being in front of me, but I think it's like Mr. Wilton or Mr. Wilson. Wilton? I think it's Wilton. If I'm wrong about that, then eventually I will try to correct that when I see the very last episode in this review later on. But anyways, so I did find these episodes to overall just be very mid in my opinion, like severely mid, just because the writing is just like, man, like I am just not to be how could I be happy about what they're doing in these episodes? Because everything just feels like filler. Everything feels like filler to me. And then they're bringing in like the Sentai footage back, and I'm like, how many corners can you cut in this show? How many corners? But if anything, like there would be obvious points where they would try to bring back the Sentai footage at some certain points. Like obviously the Zord stuff is still to be, of course, at some points Sentai footages. But like if anything, I was just at a happy point where they were not going on and doing that. But we just bring right back the Sentai footage. So I'm like, okay, like a lot of people had their reservations about the Sentai footage. A lot of people could go on and say, yeah, I love the Sentai footage. I loved when they had the Sentai footage. Like, there are people that go on and have that opinion. And, like, I can go on and be like, yeah, like, I'm okay with both the Sentai footage and the American footage used. I have no... I'm freaking Switzerland. I'm very mid about that. Like, I'm to go on and be like, yeah, like, I found it to be interesting how you can reuse that Sentai footage in this American stuff. And then it's really fun for me to go on and for me to have watched some of the Sentai pilots and trying to figure out where the Sentai footage is. That became really fun for me. That was a fun game to play, to just go on like, okay, where was this used in the other parts of the show? Where does this look? Where does it seem so familiar to me? And that was fun. That really was a lot of fun. So yeah, with that said, these were soft, okay episodes because just the writing was just so poor. But other than that, I think it's about that time to just push into full on breakdowns and spoilers and what have you of whatever goes on within these episodes. Because I think it's about that time to just push into that. So, uh, so, so I've been gone for the last couple days. I don't know if I've said this already. It's not exactly the most important part or the most interesting part of this review. I have been gone for the last couple days, and now my head is bald. I am a bald man. I'm sorry. I hate to cosmetically not be as pleasing as if I ever was. Anyways, so I had gone on quite a bit of times, and just every once in a while, been adjusting thumbnails upon the channel. Just because I wasn't happy or I wasn't satisfied. There was a lot of times where I would just go on and obviously just kind of chuck thumbnails up just because I needed to get it done on that day and I wasn't really thinking it through. And then eventually when I was to finally take the time, because I was pulling away from the channel, to really look at the thumbnails and be like, yeah, I could see why people don't really care about this video, because like looking at the thumbnail, it didn't really look like I cared, or like I was fat there, so of course it's just not going to look good. So I went on and I made a lot of adjustments, and then I started to realize, like, okay, there are some movies that there are bald characters. Okay, like, well, like, what am I gonna do with that? How can I go on and how can I, well, just shave away my head, and I'll have shirts and I'll have this. I'll have like I'll put this up as a thumbnail, and hopefully that'll do well. Hopefully it'll do better than whatever the prior thing was. Um, so I'm hoping for the best for those to eventually turn around and actually do well or do a thing, or I'm just gonna have to watch my own videos to eventually hope to just get to a point where eventually they'll just start to take off, because that's what I'm planning. Just so that we can get some kind of uh, momentum on some of these videos, because I think that they should be getting momentum and they're not. Uh, because at this point I'm just like, okay, like these videos have been on the channel for so long and they've not done what I would have hoped they would have gone on to have done. So I'm just at this point now where I'm like, okay, why is it that this is why isn't this one not doing it? Like it, like, yeah, you can go on and say, well, the runtime, yeah, I get it. But like also I'm just like, well, but it's a big movie that I think does well everywhere else but mine. Like, but also I could just be like, well, maybe that's the biggest problem. There's too many videos of it, so eventually some video has to fall through the cracks. But if anything, I'm just thinking that maybe what I'm going to do here is going to at least just show a bit of effort. Like, is going to stand out, because not a lot of people are going through this space. Well, that's not true. Not every, like, there are just, I would go on to obviously see uh, a very rare amount of YouTubers. They do the cosplay thing, um, but it's honestly severely rare. It's very rare. So like I feel that I can go on and just stand out just by doing that, even though something like that could be very weird to a lot of people. I don't care. I feel it to be a fun challenge that I can go on and I could be every character in every movie, and that's 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 the thing that I love about thumbnails. I love doing the thumbnail more than I do the video. And that's probably the strangest thing to probably have people uh be said by me. Like, yeah, like, yeah, I don't like doing the video, but man, that thumbnail though, that thing is fun. Um, but if anything, it's just the stupidest part of the video. Like, a lot of times people don't feel that they even need a thumbnail, that they could just chuck uh whatever and have it be the thumbnail and call it a day. I like to go on and just kind of be a perfectionist. I like to try to go on and I like to uh, try to put the best thing out there. If the thumbnail is going to be the thing, then like I'm going to try to put the best thumbnail I possibly can out there. Exclusion with my, of course, financial inability to get everything and look like everybody. Like I'm sure that I'm not going to be able to go on and find every single costume of every single character that has ever to exist and be able to um, be all like them. But if anything, I'll be close. I'll figure out some kind of equivalent. Like I was going on and just kind of pondering the other day about Lost Galaxy. I'm like, okay, Lost Galaxy comes out after In Space. What am I gonna do with that? And then I started looking at the Lost Galaxy costume, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I could probably make a homemade version of that costume. And yeah, how about I do that? So I went on and I did that, and it actually came out pretty decent. And I was like, okay, so I'll just do that then for the Lost Galaxy stuff, because I obviously won't have a costume or have a thing for that. Um, like I'm trying to find and figure out things specifically for Timu. Like Timu, I'm going on and eventually I think I may I say this and then it'll probably be uh, gone tomorrow. Uh, I'm hoping to eventually get like a Dino Fury costume. Hopefully at some point. Hopefully it fits me. Cause it's one of those where it's like I have to get like a very boyish size things. So I'm just like, hopefully it works. Hopefully I can uh, just just smoosh into it enough to where I just look like the character. I don't think that all these things are gonna fit, but I'm gonna try my best to just like I'll just wear whatever, so that way I can just get a better looking thumbnail than I did before. So that's what I'm just trying. I'm just trying my best to just look like a goof or a clown or whatever. But if anything, I'm also just trying to make my thumbnails as unique as I possibly can, because that's how much I care. That's how much I want to hope that if I have a good looking thumbnail, that eventually it'll mean something to people who are going on and thinking about watching it. So thank you for going on and checking any of these things out. I'm going to push on the more detailed part of these reviews that are going to go on to be very long winded and to be far too much in detail. Every once in a while, I'll kind of have a bit of just thought where I just take this gap of time and I go off in this rant or this tangent about certain things that I was to think about while watching this episodes. But most often, it's just going through the details, and that's to not be as interesting as maybe any part of the early parts of this. But regardless, I appreciate anybody going on and taking the time to watch any of these, because eventually it does help out me. It helps with the channel. It helps me know that people exist out there in the world of Earth, or maybe even Aquitar. Maybe you exist in Aquitar. But anyways, so I'm gonna pause this here, get out all of my. If anything, I don't know exactly every single one of the names of the Alien Rangers. There's Dolphine, there's Corcus, there's Titus, there's Sestro. What is the other one? Oh, Aurico. Aurico, is that right? So that's 5, right? I covered all of them. That's just by me just looking at a name sheet once. Uh, so, or I want to say Aruko. I have no idea. But yeah, so I just needed the names of the characters just in case I forgot any of them. But yeah, so also I needed the names of the monsters because at some point there's an episode where there's a huge monster army, and I'm like, who are all these people? I don't remember. Or I kind of remembered half of their names. I was like, is that right? I don't remember. But anyways, so let's go on and let's get that out, because without a doubt, I'm going to have to go on and talk about each one of these episodes in more detail. So, with that said, I think it's about that time to do the song and dance. It is spoiler time, spoiler time. It's about that time to say and spoil these episodes. Let me know in the comments below how you felt about the Alien Rangers. If you hated these characters, if you really did enjoy them much more so. I honestly enjoyed the Alien Rangers so far, like I enjoyed the Ninjetti Rangers. How it felt like anything could be possible coming from these things, and it made a lot more unpredictable bit of episodes, and it made for more interesting things going on. I feel, in my opinion. Other than that, yeah, like I think it's about that time to just push on into getting into all of these nitty-gritty bits of things here. So if anything, there's probably not going to be a time where I'm going to go on and transition between okay, this is the credits and next episode, or there's probably going to be times where I'm not even going to say each title of the episode. So at some certain points, like I'll just kind of transition to every one of the episodes, because I guess I just didn't in my brain perfectly think that I needed to have gone on and done all of that in a certain way of which that I've been kind of been doing it. I don't know. It just whatever happened that day is whatever happened. So, but if anything, we get the first episode, Alien Rangers of Aquitar. So we are to come to find from the last bit of episodes that Rita, Zed, Rito, Goldar, they are all wreaking havoc about Angel Grove as they are to be gigantic and they are crushing buildings and blowing up skyscrapers and have a bit old run of the town because there's nothing stopping them. So we now cut to the Rangers making their way out of the park and the amusement park. Yeah. So because it was Cat's birthday, eventually they all turned into youngins from the Orb episode. Uh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm second guessing myself. So the young Rangers all make their way out of the park, and they try to assess of whether or not they can use their communicators. Tommy tries to call out for Alpha and Zordon, to no answer. If anything, the command center isn't operational right now, and eventually both Alpha and Zordon will have to investigate why that is, and they'll come to find out that it's all because of a vacuum. And eventually they'll deplug the vacuum, and eventually they'll make the command center all operational again. Because if anything, they don't remember what had gone on in their certain time period of past, because how could they? As well as also the memory banks supposedly being a thing that has disappeared. Uh, Whatever. So, but back to what is going on here. Tommy is to have called upon Zordon with no avail. So Billy is to make the decision that it's like, well, hey, I think it's the best time at this juncture to make our way to the command center because we can't do anything. We can't morph. We can't face off against any threat. The only thing we have left to do is just go to the command center. That's all. Like, if anything, Zoran and Alpha could either figure out a way to cure us of what's going on, or either that or come up with another plan of eventually how to resolve this whole solution, which in this case, alien rangers. So the Rangers all at one point are to all run off as Zed and Rita are to go on and wreak havoc upon Angel Grove. Zed goes on and takes his wand and blasts upon a building, and Rito goes on and is to have an idea about how to wipe out the whole town. And how eventually all of the villains are to be so happy because it's like, well, yeah, there's going to be no Power Rangers to stop us, so we can do whatever we want. And Zed is like, okay, let the destruction begin. We have a police officer that is going on to blare upon this megaphone to let everybody know that there is a curfew going on because of the monster attack. That eventually also, this is to be a police officer that is kind of letting everybody know of what they should be doing at this point. So, and then of course we have the young Rangers. They make their way to the command center. We see them disappear. Like there's a little bit of dialogue here, but then again, the focus is them going to the command center. So we have Rito that goes on and he destroys or tries to destroy one of these buildings and comes to find that he ends up getting a prick on his foot. He finds out what the prick is. He finds out that it's this lightning rod like pole that he rips off, and he decides to make it into a toothpick. So Rita goes on and is to be taking her fingers and like doing a little bit of camera shot here, and in figuring out what is the next step of how Angel Grove is going to look after the villains have all gone on and destroyed it, like what improvements or what changes they're going to make now that there's nothing stopping them. So, as they assume that victory is theirs at this point, now we come to find that Master Vile is to take the gigantic monsters and shrink them down to normal size. Shortly thereafter that, Zed is to be upset about what had all happened, to try to figure out who was the culprit to have gone on and change them back to seemingly normal size, and Master Vile would come from the skies and explain of which that he is to have gone on and done this to them because he has a plan upon himself, and eventually that'll have Zed, Goldar, and Rita to make their way back to the Moon Palace, and eventually Master Vile is to say that Rito is to go on and need to make his way to the Tengas to try to obtain the Power Rangers power coins, because that's to be the only thing that could eventually help the Rangers try and go on and try and still stop the monsters, because eventually they can put their power coins into a device to then try and reverse this whole problem that is going on with them. But anyways, Rito and Tangas make their way to chase off against the Young Rangers. The Young Rangers are trying to make their way back to the command center, and they realize that so many of the buildings of Angel Grove has now changed over time that Billy is trying to figure out where exactly their footing is, because he's like, yeah, like everything has changed around Angel Grove. I can't tell like if we're going the right way or not. All of a sudden, we have Bulk and Skull that arrive here. Oh, man, I don't think I mentioned this in the beginning here. They finally go on and they actually explain how Aisha, Adam, and Rocky are to go on and be here when it doesn't make sense. It should be Jason, Zach, and Trini. So they go on to explain how it's all about the power coins. That the power coins are the things that are going on and keeping Aisha, Adam, and Rocky at this time, but also confusing other people. So I actually really like that explanation. So now Rito and the Tingas appear, and even Bulk and Skull are actually going to go on and help out the Rangers during this technical battle here. Very Home Alone-esque like battle, but battle nonetheless. So we cut to Tommy and Kat. They're throwing these garbage cans at both the Tangas and at both Rito. Rito at one point goes on to eventually jump on top of one of the trash cans and starts going on and doing the balancing act. Eventually having both him and the Tenga both fall into a bit of boxes and fall over. It seems that Billy and Rocky are to set up this kind of teeter-totter like thing going on here, or this kind of like this launching kind of bit of tactical here maneuver here. So what happens is we have a barrel that's nearby, and Bulk is to jump onto the barrel. So Rito goes on and he gets to one part of the teeter-totter like thing, and Bulk goes on and jumps on the other end. Rito and a Tenga goes flying and falls into a cart, which I'm honestly just so fascinated about how exactly they do stuff like this, because one, like doing stuff like this would probably very much wreck this costume, as well as also doing stuff like this. Like, I'm curious if stuff like this would ever go on and hurt the stunt doubles or the stunt actors or whoever these people are that are doing these things. Since obviously the monsters are being voiced over by people, they're not actually on the field being these characters, obviously. So pushing on. So as these carts go rolling, we have Tangas that are trying to grab onto the carts to stop it from moving, and they all go flying into these large amount of boxes. So now we cut to the Tangas trying to get to Adam and Aisha. And Adam and Aisha are at this fire escape. Adam and Aisha let loose of this rope that has a pillar on the bottom of it, this large beam. And so the beam goes flying and smacks into one of the Tangas. The Tangas are grabbing onto it, swinging. One of the Tangas decide that they're going to fly up from the fire escape because they're birds, basically, to demand that they get both Aisha and Adam. And Aisha goes on and grabs this pot, this pot that has this plant in it, gives the bird this plant, and the bird realizes, oh, I'm not flapping my wings anymore. I'm going to fall. The Tanga falls on the other Tanga that has the rope and the beam. Both of them hit. They go flying off. They smash their way into these boxes. The next thing we see is both Tommy and Kat. They're running, and eventually Tommy gets to see this gate that has this door on it. So the Tangas go chasing after both Tommy and Kat, and Tommy uses the door to open from this gate and smacks the Tanga, and that is what is to be going on to take out this Tanga here. Very elaborate, very like, ooh, ah, what a strategical move by Tommy there. Ooh, wow, like, I just screwed myself by the excitement of all this fighting. Anyways, so we now have most of the Rangers, with the exclusion of Tommy and Kat, who have all re-met back up with Bulk and Skull, huffing and puffing, or what have you, because eventually, yeah, all that took a lot of work. So, yeah, it did. It was hard. It was tough. Anyways, so, man, the filming schedule, whatever. Anyways, so, the young Rangers all go on and are to hear a siren of woo, and it's to not be the command center for once. Instead, we'd go on to find that cops are to make their way, because cops have to go on and be a part of this episode. So, cops are to be going on and driving by, and Rito and the Tangas realize, like, okay, hey, let's get the heck out of here. There's not much else we could do, so they leave. So, Billy notices Kat and Tommy off in the distance, and Billy is like, hey, you stay there. Like, you don't, like, if anything, we're going to kind of see what these cops want. But if anything, yeah, like, if anything, like, we're going to get caught by these cops. But if anything, yeah, you skedaddle. So eventually Billy and the rest of the Rangers go on and they speak with the officers to find out that there's a curfew going on, and to find out what has kind of happened within the city, to kind of reinform them if they, of course, weren't in the know. So now we make our way back to the Moon Palace. Rito with the Tangas make their way back to the palace to eventually speak to Master Vile. Master Vile is to inform everybody of his next plan, which is to be the that he wants to go on and figure out how to take out the morphing grid, because if anything, that's going to be important. Master Vile wants to go on and have an implosion device to be planted upon the command center, hoping that that'll definitively take out the command center. Zed goes on and applauds. Master Vile's like, well, man, like, this guy has style, and yeah, like, I can go on and kind of give him some brownie points. So now we cut to the police station, because I'm kind of cutting through a lot of stuff. Also, I'm kind of going on and kind of doing my own clever editing for this review. So it's not perfect, but if anything, it's in a very condensed, very just trying to just get through the big important parts. Also, with some of this stuff, like a lot of the closed captioning things were kind of cut off. So there's some points where I'm kind of guessing uh, at some points because I don't remember what all is to be said dialogue for 5 episodes. So my apologies. So if I'm not perfect about everything, I apologize. I'm trying to do the best I can. So because this was YouTube and the closed captioning was garbage. Let's be honest. Like there's a lot of times where when the music would ramp up, yeah, the closed captioning would just not be on the screen. I'd have somebody talking about like why isn't the closed captioning covering this? And it's like yeah, because the closed captioning effing sucks. So that's why. So I probably could have gone on and went to a bootleggish site and probably could have gone on and watched these episodes and probably would have been better. But regardless, I just went on to YouTube because I'm like, oh yeah, I can just watch these on YouTube. That's fine. So, anyways, cut to the police station. We find Bulk and Skull with their mothers, being hauled out of the police station, and it looks just so funny how they're being grabbed by the neck. I'm like, oh yeah, mom, yeah, do it. Anyways, so pushing on. So we find Adam, Billy, Aisha, and Rocky all sitting on this bench eating ice cream with police hats. Man, it must be rough. It's rough out there. So Aisha goes on and she states the rest of the group here. It's like, man, they're treating us like kids. And then Rocky's like, well, I hate to break it to you, but we are kids. So yeah, like we might as well take full advantage of what's to really be who we are anyways. So also they can just blame ignorance because like, well, yeah, I'm young. I didn't know any better. Anyways, so plus also we always go on and we always try to figure out what is the perfect age for someone to actually know better. That always seems to be a thing. That always is kind of really interesting. Because eventually that could always be the go-to thing. It's like, well, hey, man, I'm young. I don't know any better. And it's like, well, when are you going to get to figure that out? When is it going to be the time where I can really drop the gavel on you and just be like, yeah, like you really messed up this time. And I could just not say that it's because like, oh, well, you're inexperienced. You just didn't know any better. Man, if I could go on and if I could have really used that as a really good excuse for every time something didn't work in my job, like, yeah, I didn't know any better because I was never trained on this. They're just like, they don't take that as an excuse ever. They're just like, well, yeah, but you've been here for a long time. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. I was never trained on doing anything. Oh, well, like, does it? You've been here for a long time. Anyways, so maybe I should use that excuse for everybody. It's like, how old are you? You've been here on Earth for this many years and you don't know. Yeah, that should be the excuse. So, anyways, back to the police station. So we have a police officer that seemingly is to be in need of glasses, but he is to put them down at certain points. And we come to find out that when this guy does not have his glasses, he's kind of blind. So, or his eyes are severely blurry. So this police officer goes on and he answers the phone call, and it ends up being none other than Kat. I'm wondering what she has on her mind. So Kat has to go on and be asking about her son Billy and how she wants to go on and retrieve him or hope that her just phone call will get him to be released from the police station. It doesn't work that way. The officer goes on and tells Catherine that she needs to come to the station personally to sign for Billy for him to get released. So I would have gone on and asked this girl for her ID. But then again, the guy would have needed glasses to have seen that anyways, right? So now we make our way to the Moon Palace. Finster is going on and making roll call. We're going on and we're seeing so many monsters in the background. Quite a few of them aren't actually to go on and actually be in the Monster Army episode. But there's just a lot of filler things that we kind of see here. We even see the Lantern Monster which was in the Adam episode, that we aren't going to actually see him get used later. Uh, there was also this kind of like weird clown monster that I'm seeing in the background. A number of just kind of just things where I'm just kind of like, what the like, what are these things to have gone on been used? But anything we see the sea monster, uh, or the sea monster. I want to just so badly say eye monster, but it's not the case. The guy that has that weird goofy trench coat, he opens it up and there's eyes all over his chest and all over his coat. Yeah, that weird creepy. Anyways, so uh, so we have Monster File that is going on and explaining after the roll call that these monsters will be led uh, by none other than Professor Longnose. And he will be here shortly because, of course, he is to be conquering some other dark galaxy and he is making his way here. So, but really what that means is Sentai footage. So, here's where we go on and we have both Rito and we have Goldar coming in and we see the device that they're going to be planting upon the command center. So now we cut back to the police station. We have Billy that is going on and trying to explain to this police officer, excuse me, police officer, how would you just let me go? Like, I need to go home. I need to do some science experiments and I left the oven on and and Matlock is in 4 hours from now and I gotta see what happens. Yeah, the police officer's like, sorry kid, like, who are you again? Oh, I'm Billy. Oh, Billy? Oh, well, your mother just called me. If anything, she'll be down at the police station shortly to ridicule you and for shame you for how dare you are to go on and be at a police station at a time like this. I'm heavily paraphrasing here. I'm having a bit of fun. So, we now cut to Kat making her way to the police station. And Kat is to be over Tommy's shoulder in the old-fashioned you have the doppelganger kids there to eventually all look like an adult or doppelganger. The kids go on and they climb over one another and then they all look like a tall adult to go into a location. I would see it countless times in so many cartoons and so many things of the past. But I think it's just kind of like a stupid thing to do now. But if anything, we're seeing it again in Power Rangers. Isn't that great? So, Kat / Tommy make their way to the counter. And eventually, as all of the kids start to surround Kat, and they start to leave because Catherine's like, oh, like my son Billy is here, and oh, here are all of his friends. I will go and I will collect them. And they start walking away. And the police officer's like, excuse me, like you have to go on, you have to sign out for all of these kids. So Catherine goes on and she hunches over. This goes on, it reminds me, this character looks very much like the girl from Resident Evil, The Village. That big, huge girl that has that big, massive hat and has that white dress. That I would go on and watch quite a bit of gameplay of at certain points, and just like I don't remember her name, but if anything, that's a huge bit. No, if anything, I was like, wow, like this is a really cool looking character. But it didn't seem like she was used enough in that game. I think that they could have gone on and used her a lot more, but whatever. I guess that's just me. Anyways, so because she was a kind of interesting looking character, that was like the best thing. Like I think that's the kind of the fault of Resident Evil when you really think about it. Like they have really interesting characters that I don't think they're used enough. Like obviously, I think when you point it out, there's characters like Chris. Like Chris is to be this like character that everybody's like, ooh Chris, and then they don't use him. They don't use him at all. Like as a focused story upon a whole game, like that should be the thing. That would be a huge seller. But they're not doing it, and I don't get why. But anyways, talking about Resident Evil and Power Rangers. Anyways, whatever. Like, hey, eventually I'll probably go on and I'll probably see more Resident Evil movies. So if you like Resident Evil, I probably will go on and watch more of that. It seems that that was a thing that got quite a bit of people's attention. It probably might just be that one film, but regardless, I hope that eventually people will be interested in more of Resident Evil. Because at some point I'll go on and I'll keep dusting those movies off and eventually watching them. Because why not? Like, it's content, like it's something to do. And Resident Evil seems to be right now to be at the cusp of everyone's real true interest right now. Hence why they're even going to going on and doing another Resident Evil project. But anyways, so back with the episode here, because this is exactly timelining what all I'm doing on the channel and everything. So, anyways, so we have this police officer. He goes on and he makes his way to find his glasses, and then it's to look at the feet of this woman to come to find that she's wearing like work boots and jeans, and the officer's like, whatever, like doesn't make any sense, but like who cares. So the kids are all to have now made their way into trying to get to the command center. They're all walking off, and there's all of a sudden this like kind of just weird fog or this like sandstorm kind of going on here that is be pushing all this stuff up. And then all of a sudden off in the distance we see both Golar and Rito. Now we cut to the command center. So Alpha and Zordon do not have much of an idea of what was going on via the command center during this exact time period, having them have troubles trying to figure out what exactly is to be causing the power drain within the command center of where they cannot go on and be able to be at full of operation of power. So Alpha has to go on and do some investigating and then realizes that there was a vacuum to have been plugged in the background. So that was to be the whole cause of this. I think I mentioned this already, but I'm kind of reiterating all this. So shortly thereafter, the unplugging of the vacuum, they go on and they realize through the viewing globe that the Rangers are to make their way to the command center. And Zordon tells Alpha to teleport them now. So the Rangers make their way to the command center, and Billy is going on and asking how there's a possibility for them to figure out how to get power so they can reverse what has gone on to happen to them. If anything, there is a bit of interesting debate about, like, well, hey, this could be difficult to go on and be able to reverse. If anything, we're also going on and having you guys be within a certain time period. A lot of things could really be affected by that. If you were to go on and kind of change back to your modern selves and so on and so forth. So really just in the meantime here, considering there might be no way of easy solution to have the Rangers go back to their normal selves quite quickly, even though any number of other times they would go on in one episode and figure out this solution so quite easily and reverse what had gone on to happen. This time around, no. This seems to have just stymied the Rangers so poorly to where there is seemingly no way for them to just snap through and get back to their regularly scheduled program of selves. So Alpha and Zordon are to realize here, well, like, I think it's a possibility that we need to call upon the alien Rangers from the planet Aquitar. And Rocky goes on to say, it's like, well, yeah, it makes sense. We had gone on to Edenoi to help out Dex, the Masked Rider, from episodes prior, so it just kind of makes sense now. that were going on, and we're asking aliens to assist us. So the idea here is that Alpha and Zordon are going to go on, and they're going to have a beam that is to be like a an emergency signal, like a bat signal, to try and call for aid or try to call for help. So, or try to be sent to Aquitar. So the command center goes on and does this beam, and is to be sent to Aquitar, and the equations answer it. So the next thing we see is on the viewing globe that the young Rangers are speaking with the equations. And while that is all going on, I guess to have not any of the alerts of the command center going off at this point, because the Rangers are seemingly in the story too busy talking to the equations to have any alarms go off. We have Rito and we have Goldar outside of the command center setting the implosion device, lighting the fuse via the end of Goldar's sword, and then walking off to a to be continued screen. The next thing we see is Alien Rangers of Aquitar. I believe this is part 2. So Zordon is talking to the equations about Master Vile, and Delphine is to mention about how Master Vile is a very unwelcome visitor, or a very unwelcome guest. So Zordon is to go on and state how they have no other choice but request the Alien Rangers of assistance. And the Alien Rangers are to go on and say, it's like, well, like, we would be happy to help, but also, we're not quite sure if our planet atmosphere wise will match yours. Like, we're kind of unsure of the risk that we might take by going to your planet long term or even short term. But the equations are willing to take the risk if it means to help out people who are good. Eventually, the Alien Rangers will go on and have this whole thing where they talk about, like, well, yeah, like, if like it feels that we were to go on and need to come to you because we just were uh, morally obligated to do so. Like, we really needed to go on and really wanted to help you people out. You people. Anyways, so uh we have Sestro, and he goes on to explain because they're trying to figure out the whole situation with, like, okay, like, we have the Shogun Megazords. What do you guys have? And Sestro was like, well, hey, we have the Battleborgs. We have the and so they start showing bits of footage of it. And they also go on to eventually explain it's like, well, hey, well, yeah, once you get to Earth, we'll go on and explain how we do things here, and we'll get you to understand, like, how to call out and summon things, and how to be able uh, to go on and be able to do all the things that the Power Rangers have gone on to do in so many episodes so far, and how complicated it really should be, right? So but Tesser also mentions about how they go on, they control their Zords by telepathy, which is to make sense for how the Alien Rangers don't go on and don't do much with the Shogun Zords, because if anything, they're very specific about how they go on and they use their Zords. So, or their Battle Borgs, not Beetleborgs. Anyways, so uh So the alien rangers are going to make their preparations to make their way to Earth, and then the alarms go off. Uh, the viewing globe informs the rangers that there is to be an implosive device in front of the command center. And so, in the writing, they go on and they explain about how the security scanners were to have been weakened because of the power outage. Or something along those lines. They do explain that, so give them points for actually explaining that. But still, I was just like, wait a minute, like right outside the command center, and this doesn't go off. But I guess they have to write that in the story, right? They have to be just convenient for the story, right? Of how they write that in. So now we have Master Vile, who is at the Moon Palace through the telescope watching the implosion device. Master Vile is just so happy that he may go on and take out Zordon and the Rangers all in one fell swoop. And we then would cut to back at the command center where Alpha is going on and deciding that Alpha itself needs to go on and figure out a way to defuse this bomb. Because if anything, Alpha would be the safest because robot. Plus, also, if there is to be anything that happens to Alpha, then there'll just be another Alpha 6 at some point in the future, right? Because eventually there will be. So, kind of foreshadowing that there is going to eventually be an Alpha that probably everyone hates, right? Everyone hates the goofy sounding Alpha. In all honesty, this Alpha is also kind of annoying with her voice. So, I don't get it. The problem that people have between the Alphas. I don't care a lick of what. Like, I don't get why it matters. Like, I think, in all honesty, I think some people are to actually gripe about Alpha. Probably just for content, but also, I think they just gripe about this Alpha because it's different than something they're used to. If it's not exactly like Mighty Morphin, then like if it's an Alpha that's slightly tweakingly different, like that, it's just like when uh Zordon left, and then they had uh the character that comes in to replace Zordon, the girl that rhymes, and then eventually she stops rhyming. No one liked that character. I don't remember exactly what her name is, but no one liked her. Sadly enough, just people hated that character. They hated that character because it wasn't Zordon. Whoever was to replace, they would have hated him. They go on and they hate Gosei from Megaforce. They hate him because he almost looks like Zordon, so they have to hate on him. But yeah, that whole I'm sure there's a simple explanation for that thing will probably bug a lot of people, right? Like, it's okay to hate Gosei. I'm not saying that you should hate Gosei. You're probably right. Let me know in the comments below that girl's name that was to replace Zordon, because I apologize for how I had forgotten it. I'm even tempted to pause this video here just so I could figure out what that name is. Let me pause it and let me do that. Oh, Demetria, boo! Boo on her! As if I knew who that really was. Yeah. I remember some things of Turbo, but Demetria... I can't really speak strongly about Demetria because I don't think I watched Turbo that hardcore of real, like... I remember some things here and there of Turbo, but, like, yeah, like, Turbo is going to be like Zeo for me, where I'm going to be like, a lot of stuff is gonna like there's gonna be some flashes here and there, but a lot of it's gonna just be bright spots. Um, because I'd watched like from Mighty Morphin to getting up to Zeo, and then I stopped at one point for a rewatch. And then I just started to go through a number of other seasons that I've never heard of or seen before, because it was whatever that time period was like the more interesting bits of content that I was like, what the heck is this? I don't know any of these seasons. I've never heard of these characters. Oh, this is interesting. I think it was right around the time where it was like Dino Thunders and SPDs were like the latest seasons. Like I'm drawing a blank. It was roughly around the time where like Power Rangers was on Amazon. So, but if anything, let's cut back to the bit of episodes here. So, Zordon explains to Tommy about how he needs to take his team to get to the beach to meet up with the Alien Rangers. But before they go, Alpha goes on and gives Billy this little mirror device that is to be a miniature viewing globe for them to have communications between them, which actually is a pretty good effect that they put together on the show with, which I appreciate that they did that, because that actually kind of looks cool in a like the prop doesn't look cool, but like it's interesting how they did that viewing globe thing. So as Alpha sends the Rangers on their way, Aisha goes on and says how much she loves both Alpha and Zordon. I'm like, oh, you get me so emotional, motherfuckers. Like, how dare you? You make me all sad and shit. Or whatever. I gotta be manly right now, but I'm just crying inside. Anyways, so, but Alpha doesn't go on and reciprocate. Like, Alpha goes on and just teleports them out, and then she's like, I love you too, Rangers. Why don't you go on and actually just have them be there? Like, maybe it was just so hard. Maybe you had anxiety. Maybe it was just like, I just couldn't say it. I couldn't say it to their faces. Like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't pull that trigger. So, we now push on, and Tommy is now at the beach waiting for the Alien Rangers. So, weirdly, when I was to see the Alien Rangers from Aquitar, like, teleporting to Earth, I'm looking at the white teleporting thing, and it looks green to me. Does it look green to anybody else? Like, am I just seeing that wrong? Like, is it off? Like, what the is going on here? Why is the white one to be green? I'm so confused. Like, maybe I'm just looking at that differently. I'm like, and I see it more than once done. That it's like like I was thinking that I'm like, okay, maybe I just saw in that one frame of thing, and it just maybe it's underwater color or something. No, I would go on and see them like kind of just go down onto the planet and it's still green. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why is the white just what was going on there? I'm so freaked out about it. Anyways, so I just want to go on a huge rant about it. I'm so upset. I can't just let it go. Anyways, so Alpha makes her way to the command center. Alpha makes its way to the command center. I always don't want to make Alpha a gender thing because I just don't know. Like, it's a robot to me. Like, I'm sure that at some points he had said that Alpha was a guy or a dude or whatever, but feasibly I'm just going like it's a robot. So plus also it's been voiced by a guy and played by a girl. So whatever. I still am to just this day be confused at it about Alpha did it. Anyways, pushing on. So here's some goofy stuff of which that I'm going to be difficult in trying to explain any of this. So Alpha goes on and is to make its way to this device, this implosion device. Alpha goes on with Alpha's tools and figures out a way to try to deactivate the main core of this explosive, whatever the F that means. And then Alpha has to go on and figure out how to cut a wire because in every bomb you have to cut some wire. It's so goofy that we always have to have that thing done in every single bomb. But it happens. Here's also the funny thing. Alpha is sweating. Alpha is just like over that bowl of hers or bowl of Alpha's, just sweating, just pouring down. Like I was waiting for like a sprinkler system to like on freaking Alpha. That's how much freaking water was coming down. So Alpha has what I believe is to be like a squeegee, like squeegee. If that's not the perfect word of it, like whenever you go to the gas station, there is to be these things that have like the things where you can take from the gas station and then just kind of wipe on your windshield, like those things. Like I guess I would call it a squeegee or something. But if anything, maybe somebody else has a proper term of that. Let me know in the comments below. Uh, yeah. So Alpha is going on and using, I'll say the squeegee thing because I'm hoping that's right. And goes on and kind of puts it over the eyes just to like so. Alpha goes on and is to cut the wire and it's to be so happy, but like, yeah, I did it, yeah, it was me. Just kind of does a jiggle or a dance or something, like a little victory lap. Doesn't even need to cut the fuse or anything. You would think that would like, why not just cut the fuse? Wouldn't that go on and wouldn't that stop the bomb from going off? It's just me, just thinking out loud. Just cut the fuse. Anyways, so back at the Moon Palace, another failed scheme by Master Vile, as Master Vile be so upset that the food producer on food producer on legs was to go on and just take out the implosion device. Yeah, it happened. I'm sorry that you got defeated for the 80th time. So, as the alien rangers make their way onto Earth, we would start to see the characters on the Moon Palace start to get a big whiff of something good and pure, and how much they are to have a distaste because of that now. So, and needing both Goldar and Rito to make their way on Earth to investigate what is to have probably been going on. So, we now cut to the youngins, and they're going on, and they're communicating with Alpha. Alpha goes on to explain how Alpha was able to defuse the implosion device, and was to have also let the Rangers know that the alien Rangers are eventually to make their way here, and everything will be under control. So we now cut to Bulk and Skull. Bulk and Skull are looking after the group and be like, hey, what the heck are you guys doing? Who are you talking to? Billy goes on to explain that, like, oh yeah, this thing I hold in my hand, it's a prism. Ooh, yeah, it's a prism. And he's going on and he's talking about how mirrors reflect off of it. Yeah. So going on and making up some fake explanation for what this device really is. So the next thing we see is both Rito and Goldar with the Tangas making their way to the Rangers. So the Rangers' plan now, instead of fighting off again, is to find within this beach some just trinkets, some shovels, some toys and stuff, and to throw them all at the monstrous beings, because that's all that they have really left to do here. So just take any beach items and just randomly throw it at these monsters, because conveniently all of those things are right there. How convenient. So after all of these stalling tactics for the Rangers, then finally the alien Rangers show up. The alien Rangers show up and they use their telepathic powers to strike a combining attack via all of them to push away both Rito, Goldar, and the Tengas to where the villains have nothing left to do but run away. So shortly thereafter that, we have the alien and young rangers go on and both introduce one another to themselves, explain who they all are, who their colors are, like what they like to do for fun, and so on and so forth. So I like what long walks on the beach, and I am a Sagittarius. So eventually, after this, like this little meetup here, the alien rangers go on and they look at the little kids and they just weirdly just touch them and like, oh, you have hair. Ooh, yeah, maybe me not me, but whatever. Um, uh, ooh, yeah, look at you, face. Ooh, yeah. So as if they've never, as if they've never seen or touched or whatever. Well, I hope that'd be a little creepy. Strange. Anyways, so we cut back to Master Vile, and now we of course have Master Vile that is trying to get his monster army to be like, okay, now is your time. Now we have to go on. We have to face off against these alien rangers, and kind of getting to a battle cry, and so on and so forth. The monsters all start to leave the palace and crush Finster to where he is basically a what would be the perfect word here? He's basically like silly putty onto a newspaper, like just like he's just flattened. So Finster's going on like, I hate being a bad guy sometimes. Ooh. So now we cut to the command center. We would go on to, of course, have Zordon talk about how the situation has been grave until the alien rangers have gone on to appear here, and how, of course, right now the rangers are powerless against Master Vile. We go on and have the alien rangers that go on and mention about how they have a moral code and a sacred code that is to have them go on and protect good against evil. And I've probably already said this somewhere, but I'm restating it. So, all of a sudden the alarms go off, and I don't know if I've said this here, so I'm reiterating. I have no idea. All the alien rangers go on and they put their hands over their ears, which is actually really smart. I'm like, yeah, these alien rangers are unaware about this alarm, and so to them, they would be scared and they would be terrified about this alarm going off. How they never did that anywhere else in the Power Ranger thing makes no sense to me, but they're doing it here. It makes actually a lot better writing sense. Sometimes this show does get right, but not every time. Anyways, so the Alien Rangers and Billy are to have made their way to the viewing globe as the rest of the Rangers all are to go on and be making their way through the town. I'm not quite exactly sure why the Rangers are making their way through town. Like, I think there was something possibly about curfew or something like that. I think at one point Billy was to go on and talk to Tommy and say, hey, yeah, tell my dad that I'm not going to be home by curfew. Because, like, I'm busy with the Alien Rangers trying to get them to know about our technology, about how to use our Zords and such properly. So I think that's what kind of happens here. I kind of got lost track of that somewhere within these episodes. But if anything, back to the viewing globe. We come to find that there is a monster army led by Professor Longnose. And again, Sentai Fush. Because this guy is here now. So, we would go on to have the Alien Rangers telepathically figure out all of the Power Rangers commands and calls and technology and what have you. And eventually, shortly thereafter, that Dolphine ends up crying out, "Morphin! It's morphing time." The Alien Rangers go on and face off against the monsters here, as we, I think, end up seeing Akiro or Akuro, the red Alien Ranger. I'll just call it the colors because it'll be easier. We have the red Alien Ranger face off against Carrot Top, I believe. We have the white Alien Ranger facing off against the Eye Monster, where the Eye Monster opens up uh, his coat and shows off all the eyes to the uh, the white Alien Ranger and gets afflicted by that. The Krabby Cabby is to go on and grab onto Corcus, I believe, the black Alien Ranger, and kind of grab onto him and just kind of flip him, I think, multiple times here. We have Titus, the yellow Alien Ranger that faces off against Garbage Mouth. I think that's the name. Garbage Mouth. Sounds good. Garbage Mouth. Yeah. So Garbage Mouth goes on and does a blast attack that eventually hits the yellow Alien Ranger. And the blue Alien Ranger faces off against Brick Bully. So eventually, after all this fighting that is going on, eventually Professor Longnose decides that he wants to go on and have his Make My Monster Grow moment. All the monsters end up turning gigantic, and now all the Alien Rangers are to call upon their Battleborg Zords to be energized. So now we see a lot of chaos going on, and as well as also we're seeing the Alien Rangers with their telepathic distance doing their mimicking of their attacks. But if anything, we go on and we see the red Battleborg face off against Professor Longnose. We see just a barrage of just monsters slash Alien Ranger shot here, where I think the front runner is the white Battleborg, and that's like there's a bunch of chaos going on. I have no idea what's really going on here. So we now cut back to the command center. The command center has Alpha teleport back all the Rangers so that way they can watch and react to what is to be the battle going on here. So they're all going on and they're watching, and the Rangers are all cheering on the Alien Rangers here, going on and like, yeah, you go get them. So okay, so the Red Alien Ranger goes on and attacks Professor Longnose, and shortly thereafter that, the White Alien Ranger goes on and she goes and does this like X attack, and she dives. So this could be like a kind of a pushing off kind of attack, or it could also be kind of like a reverse drop kick, but it's to just kind of be this like impactful, somewhat like kind of a attack like this. We'd come to find that the White Alien Ranger is going on and doing this attack via her Battleborg on to Garbage Mouth, and Garbage Mouth ends up getting hit by this attack. The next thing we end up seeing is both Yellow and Blue Ranger working together, and they do this kind of weird wax on, wax off kind of hand thing, and then the next thing we see is both Yellow and Blue Ranger kind of Battleborgs having these monsters kind of thrusted over either their shoulder or kind of over their heads, and like as if this is like a military press, and they're just getting like spun around. And we also in turn see both Yellow and Blue Ranger out telepathically controlling their Zords and doing the same motion. So the Rangers are continuing to watch on, and Tommy calls upon Delphine to say, like, okay, now it's Shogun Megazord time. And so I guess like the kids just need something to do. It's cool. Like it's cool that we're going on and we're having like the kids that are like calling out for these things. Um, like if anything, like I want to say here that even though I can go on and I cannot really enjoy the fact that we have these kids here because I'm just like, yeah, I just want to get them right back to like Jason David Franks and these characters because they're more interesting. Uh, Eventually getting the Power Rangers back to full strength, blah 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 blah. But um, they like the show is really going on and doing this for their target audience. So I can appreciate that they're doing this. Like I could say that it's nice that they have kids involved in the show. Like so like there's that thing about that I'm wanting to try to just be like like I'm missing the other characters like I want them to wrap up the show because of how much hard work that they've done on this show. I want for them to finish it off instead of having these young other characters come in to just be like we're these placeholders, and the Alien Rangers are kind of also placeholders too to just wrap up a season that is to probably not be as satisfying as a wrapping up as I'm to go on and have at some point in other seasons, um, and what have you. So it is what it is. So oh well. So the Shogun Megazord is to be called upon here. And of course, it ends up going on and focusing on Professor Longnose. So we see that the fire saber is to be whipped out here, thrusted upon Professor Longnose, and that attack alone wipes out not only him, but all the rest of the monsters, bizarrely, because there's that weird connection there. So the Zords are all standing tall, and then we end up getting also the Alien Rangers to state that this is mission accomplished. And now we see the young Rangers in the command center that are all going on and high fiving and like, yeah, we did it, mission accomplished. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah, we did it, woo! So now we cut to Master Vile that is writhing in agony of defeat, going on and stating at this point that he is to be so embarrassed that he is to go on and go back to his own galaxy and rule there. To where finally Lord Zed is so happy that he can go on and take the reins back, he is to even go on and kiss Golar in the face for how the both of them are like, well, yeah. Because Golar's like, congratulations, Lord Zed. You've got your reign back. You've got your groove back. And Lord Zed is kissing Golar on the head, like, yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah, yeah, high five. So yeah, I wish there would have been a high five there. That would have been cool. Or they should have like, like if anything, like why is it that the monsters can't have their moment where they have their own like secret handshakes or whatever? Like everybody else gets to do it. Anyways, that was stupid. So we now cut to the command center in the viewing globe. The viewing globe is going on and showcasing this reporter talking about how they're to be very thankful of the Alien Rangers uh, and eventually in kind we have Ariko, um, Ariko that goes on of like, well, uh, I thank you all too. So So, yeah, I have. So, if anything, like we have both Alpha and we have both Zoran, they're going on and having a bit of relief here because, like, well, hey, it's great that we have the Alien Rangers here until the time that we can come to figure out how we can kind of turn back the hands of time to correct things. And we have the Alien Rangers that are like, well, yeah, hopefully that can be soon because if anything, yeah, your Earth's atmosphere isn't exactly cohesive with us. Like at some point, like yeah, we're gonna have to go on, and we are going to have to go back to Aquitar. So, so the young Rangers all get their hands in, and eventually they hope that the equations are going to go on and join in, like as if they know what's going on. And so the equations are like, should we do like hands? What? What are they going to do? Are they gonna? Are we in danger? No, the Aquatars they put in their hands in, and then they do the whole like because the Rangers always have to go on, and they always have to do that. They always have to put their hands in, and they have to throw their hands out. Also, the one thing that I always was to have thought about these episodes, because considering Jason David Frank has now passed on, a lot of people are going on and they're saying like, well, yeah, like there isn't a Tommy anymore. Like, in all honesty, like you do have this young Tommy that has eventually still been a guy who is to have luckily existed. Um, if anything, if we do not have Jason David Frank available anymore, because that sadly is the truth about it all, then I would go on and say that this actor could be a replacement for that character. Sadly enough, like yeah, like it is a thing that sucks that um we have to do that, but also like there is an opportunity there. Like I'm not saying that do it for uh like a live action thing. Maybe even if there is an animated series, you can do it there. Either that or you can just go on and just find a guy that just voice matches it, or like you can probably find somebody that looks just like Tommy. I'm sure there's somebody out there, and just face fake it like you did with Princess Leia in the Star Wars thing, which a lot of people will hate and will find it to be ugly. Either way, I would just say the guy is right there. If anything, I would be fine with that replacement, but not everybody would. Um, and it irks me that people wouldn't be fine with it. Um, but either way, if they're going to go on and just kind of replace everybody and they're just going to um, do this whole reset thing, then fine. Like, by all means, like, I think it's about effing time that we that we definitely do a reset on this. And I hope that reset completely sticks. Like, if you're gonna do this reset thing, like, I hope this thing is so amazingly good that it has people to never want to go on and never want to go back. It's like, well, hey, though that time has gone on to exist, that time has come and gone. But if anything, and I get it that all the Rangers all want their second chances and all want to come back and want to be a part of the world or the universe or whatever. I get that, but also like too much time is going to pass to where everybody is never going to get that second chance. Uh, if anything, that's what comic books are for. Like if anything, you could write your own novel or book about what you would want to have done within the space of Power Rangers, and a lot of people would want to check that out because why wouldn't anybody want to read those stories? But pushing on. So, into the next episode, because credits rolled, we have Billy that is going on and is in the command center with the equations looking at technologies. I think that this is to go on and figure out either how Billy can go on and have his Rangers go back into normal time, because I think in another episode they go on and they try to figure out how to create a device that'll work well for the atmosphere to match Aquitar on Earth. I think is another thing that they try to figure out. But if anything, like I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on within this exact scene. So Billy goes on after speaking about technologies with the equations. He goes on to realize that he's late for school, and so he starts to run off. Back at the Moon Palace, we come to find that Zed is ridiculing Rita about both her father and then also Rito. And Rita is to go on and be like, well, hey, Zed, I've come up with another plan. So kind of getting past all the pleasantries of which that they always go on and say, like, oh, brat Power Rangers, blah 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 blah, conquering the world, blah blah. Yeah, they say all this bullshit all over again. Um, so so uh, eventually there is not a real explanation of the plan, but if anything, Rita just saying that she has one, and Zed going on and talk about the alien rangers as flying fish. But anyways, the next thing we cut to is the Rangers, the young Rangers, making their way onto this school bus. So I wanna run back and maybe think that maybe this is the time where Billy goes on and tells the team that he's going to be late for curfew and to tell his folks about it. But I'm very confused. Uh, because I think this is a scene here where I think it was supposedly happen at some point. So I'm very confused about what the other scene was, where Billy is in the command center and the rest of the team are all just running around in Angel Grove. I'm trying to figure out what the heck that scene was. Let me know in the comments below, because maybe I missed that. But anyways, so the young Rangers make their way onto the school bus and they see both Bulk and Skull into the bus. Eventually, they come to find out that both Bulk and Skull have these water balloons. And eventually, both of these things will be used later to eventually, when Rito makes his way onto the bus, to be a thing that they throw at him to get him scared to run off the bus and then run into a net that is replaced by Golar. But I'll get to that here shortly. So, Golar and Rito appear to eventually stop said bus. As Rito goes on and jumps on top of said bus, then scares the bus driver. He goes on, bus driver, and stops the bus. Rito just goes in and knocks on the door of the bus. The bus driver just weirdly decides to let this monster in. It makes no sense to me. Rito then uses a sleeping spell on the driver and then goes on and talks crap to the kids. And then all the water balloons come in. Rito ends up getting scared. The doors end up opening. Goldar throws the net. And Tommy and Kat end up trying to awaken the bus driver. And eventually Goldar ends up making his way to Rito and kind of frees him from the net. Bulk and Skull go on and have Rito's sword, and they get scared by it for how it glows, so they thrust it out the window. Rito and Golar fail at their scheme, and so they go back to the Wound Palace, licking their wounds. Rita and Zed go on to figure out what both Adam and Billy are doing. They're creating this robotic miniature-like device that is supposed to help them to try and get them back to modern time, or to get them back to their more up-to-date age, I guess is the word to probably say here. Whatever they were before they were young, they were to have been that age. Teens with attitudes? Yeah, that is to be better off, I guess, to say that. So, as both Billy and both Adam walk their way out of their lab, they are to be followed by both Goldar and both Rito. And as consistently both Adam and Billy continue to walk through the street, eventually they are to keep going on and double checking to make sure that no one is following them. And this whole thing is to be so stretched out and so stupid. This scene right here is to be the biggest problem in this kind of show, because you're doing stuff that should have been edited out. Like, this is basically the equivalent of a bathroom scene on a this doesn't need to have been seen. I didn't legit need to go on and see somebody plopping down on the toilet digging a dump. Like, this is the same kind of thing here. We don't need to see these people being chased, and it does nothing. Like, this whole thing is to be like this, I guess, goofy, fun thing. It does nothing. It's not funny, it's stupid. So, cut to Alpha, and the equations being in the command center, and every single one of them are starting to drop off. All of them are starting to feel dehydrated, and eventually all of them are all getting sick. So now we have Billy and Adam meeting up with all the rest of the Rangers, and both Golar and Rito are to show up. So Billy goes on and drops the device down, and he goes on and ends up becoming a more teenager with attitude version of himself, while everyone else has the inability to be able to go on and become back to their regular selves. So Billy is to be the only one who is to be able to have the device supposedly work. Shortly thereafter that, back at the command center, Zordon is to inform the Rangers that there is to be a fountain nearby that the alien Rangers could get to hopefully try and rehydrate themselves. So, if anything, the alien Rangers teleport their way to that location, and they are to kind of raise their hands above their head and kind of do, I think, like this, like Zoltan. Like, if you guys have never seen the movie Dude, Where's My Car? Zoltan! Or whatever goofy thing they do. But anyways, so the alien rangers go on and they fly above the fountain, and then they start to rehydrate themselves. You can see that their body is starting to glow with their very specific power color. And so Billy and Rocky and the rest of the young rangers are to try to go on and face off against Rito and Goldar. Billy tries to attack Rito, and Rito blasts Billy and has Billy go flying back, hitting onto a wall. Lord Zed then goes on to appear, and so does Rita, going on to eventually use their wands upon Goldar. And Goldar has gone on to take the device that had turned Billy back to his normal self and had taken all the power coins away from it. I think at some point they probably did say what exactly this device was, and I didn't explain what the name of it is. Uh, yeah, and it's not here somewhere. So Goldar is who, with the power of the wands of both Rita and Zed, take every single one of the power coins and crush them. Why haven't they have gone on and done this in the past? Why go on and do this now? I don't know, I guess it's just story convenience, right? So the Rangers now are to go on and realize that there's no way for them to be able to morph. Even Billy, who is now to be at his age and is able to go on and be like, yeah, I should morph right now. Yeah, he doesn't have his power coin. Wait a minute. Billy could go on and he could morph without his power coin. Because didn't that happen with Kimberly? Didn't Kimberly miss her power coin at some point, but she could still go on and morph? But it was kind of like Tommy, how like they had to give power to her. Like Billy could have gone on and could have morphed. Like, let's just state the obvious here. Loophole. No, wait. Um, Technically, Kimberly had morphed and then realized, like, oh, yeah, no, wait. Yeah, she had morphed several times, even after losing her power coin. And yeah, so she should be yeah, so Billy could have morphed. Well, too late. Well, I guess if the power coin is destroyed, you can't morph because the power coin doesn't exist. Fuck. God dang it. Just the back and forth, just rattling of my mind. Oh, the monster is known as Slotsky, and let me see if this thing actually did have a name. Let me pause here because I didn't check this afterward. So yeah, this device didn't seem to have an actual thing on here on this sheet I read that actually was to say what the device was. Uh, you could also go on and just say that it's like an age convert. Well, no. We have the Billy word. The Billy word. Billy always goes on and has the word of which is the molecular scrambler or whatever. So that is technically what this device was. So, like, yeah, like we just kind of have a blanket word for that whenever like something is to like have to change from somebody. Like it's like a thing to always just kind of have this like blanket thing of like, well, hey, we don't know what the heck to call this, so we'll just call it a molecular scrambler or whatever, because that is always the go-to thing to say when somebody's going to be just changed or morphed or transformed of some kind, like they're going through a metamorphosis. Anyways, so back to the power coins being destroyed here. Lord Zed is to eventually prepare the Rangers for the end of the world, as now both Rito and both Goldar are to teleport out of there. And so Billy is going on and asking everybody, because he's normally the guy with the plan of like, hey, what do we do now? Like, things have really gotten much worse. So now we have Rita that's on the telescope checking out that the alien rangers have now gone on to be rehydrating at this fountain. So they, of course, need to go on and need to put a stop to that, right? So uh, they go on and they make the good idea of like, well, hey, uh, man, this is so strange because, like, yeah, because like so much about this kind of feels like another episode. Because eventually they go on and they find another source of water, and then in the next episode they go on and they pollute the water with the whole toxic twins in the next episode. So I'm like, okay, so like I always kind of get confused of what episode this is because I'm just like, okay, so much about this seems so similar. It's easy to get kind of confused here. So because I immediately was thinking like, oh yeah, they're just gonna make the water toxic, but that's not what happens here. That happens in another episode. So the villains they decide that hey, like since these rangers are needing to in desperation rehydrate here, we're gonna stop all that. We're gonna make them so busy that they can go on and need to act on trying to stop this threat. So they send Schlotsky out there. They transform the monster. They transform Billy's device into a monster because it's so readily available there. So the Rangers teleport to the command center because yeah, there's nothing much more they can do. Like there is nothing that they can do to face off against this monster. So as they make their way to the command center, uh, Zordon is to inform the Rangers what had happened to the alien Rangers, how they had desperately went on to a fountain water source so they can go on and get rehydrated. So Billy is to go on and tell Zordon, it's like, okay, we need to make our way to that exact location so I can go on and inform the alien Rangers of what's going on, so that way they can go on and assist us. So Billy ends up getting teleported to that exact location, making his way to the equations. So Billy makes his way to the equations and explains to them, hey, you have a monster that is to go on and be near. So I'm informing you now that it's like, hey, this monster is trying to prevent you from hydrating. So you guys need to go on and you need to kind of protect yourself from this threat. And then all of a sudden, Billy is to see Schlotsky off in the distance and he's like, wait a minute, I want to correct myself. Like the monster is here. So follow that up with Schlotsky having a bunch of Tengu warriors. So the alien rangers go on and they cry out for morphing time. And this is actually the spot where everything actually starts to be a lot of fun and actually pretty cool. Uh, we do have at one point where the Yellow Ranger does all those like weird, goofy, like muscle poses, and that was kind of just his flexing. I thought that was kind of bullshit. I thought that was stupid. Uh, but like it was kind of weird, like at some certain points where the Alien Ranger would go on and would like take down a Tenga and would ask a random like civilian. It's like, hey, is that all right? Did I take him down the right way? Like it just seems like the Alien Rangers have never gone on to have anything like this before, and they're just like really soaking it in by all these crowds of people that are watching them, as if this is some weird, goofy, uh, uh, what like sporting event. I don't know, but either way, it's so strange. So let's get into the action here. So as the Rangers all line up with their swords that they never actually use, which is kind of so weird to me. There's at one point where they have like Schlotsky, who who has this like magnet arm, and he goes on. The monster goes on to suck all the swords of weaponry away from them. But yeah, like these ninjettis, um, the alien rangers, they never go on and they use their weapons. I don't see yet one time that they've ever gone on to use these swords. Like it looks like they're grabbing at them, but they never use them. So I'm like, what? Uh, why? Why aren't you using them? It's so weird. They'll pull at them, but they won't take them out. I don't know what it is. So maybe I'll see them at some point use them at some point randomly here. I'm like, oh yeah, they did use it there, or three other people, places of things. Anyways, so we first off, let's get into the fighting. So Delphine goes on and does this huge, massive jump. We see both Black and Yellow Ranger face off against these Tangas and attack them. Billy is in this crowd going on and being asked, like, who are they? Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, but whoever they are, they're heroes. Whatever, Billy. Whatever. Yeah, I know them all. Like, they're my cousins from another planet. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, so Akuro goes on and he does this like weird armbar attack, as if he knows submission moves. We would go and have the Black alien ranger that goes on and does this like quasi like drop kick on one of the tank warriors. I goes on to eventually do some pretty impactful moves, I feel. Then we make our way into the Blue Ranger. He goes on and he does this. I want to say it's kind of like almost like a gymnastic dance move of sorts. Because he does what I would call like from the dance moving like a windmill or something like that, where he goes on and he takes his legs like and he just kind of like just swings them around and kind of does this like attack where it goes on and is to quite possibly take a good number of Tangas out all at one time. We then have Dolphine that goes on and does this kind of like jumping attack against one of the Tangas. And then we have Titus that takes one of the Tangas by the legs and starts to do this. Like I remember that Cesaro used to do this this swing attack all the time. He eventually would go on Cesaro from WWE, or maybe he has Claudio in AEW now. This guy would go on and take these characters by the legs, and then he would start just spinning them around up into the point where he would eventually just kind of fling them or drop them somewhere. That would be his big signature move that everybody knew him by. So eventually, after the Yellow Ranger goes on and does that, that's where he goes on and he flexes and he poses and he's like, yeah, oh yeah, look at my muscles, oh yeah. And everybody's like, yeah, you did great, woo, yeah. So then shortly thereafter that, the Yellow Ranger does something that is to be called like a Frankensteiner from wrestling moves. Because yeah, they're really doing a lot of wrestling in mixed martial arts moves here. So the Frankensteiner is where you have like a person that jumps over a person's head with their legs in between them. So like say for example, like so this is a person's legs, this is the person, so they go on and they jump on top of them, and then they kind of flip them over like so. And like that's basically a Frankensteiner. If you don't know what I'm talking about, YouTube is a convenient friend here. But so anyway, but yeah, basically the person's crotch is in the other person's face as they're flipping them. So yeah, that's the whole move. So here's where Akuro, or yeah, Akuro, or Ak- or Rico. Here's where the red alien raider goes on and takes the Tinka down, and he turns to the people. It's like, hey, is that okay? Is that okay that I took him down that way? It's just so strange. Um, so eventually the tank of warriors all just fly off. And eventually we have the alien rangers facing off against Schlotsky. So, oh, here is where they go on and they take out the swords. And this is where Schlotsky goes on and makes sense of it to use his magnet device to have all the swords to be taken away from them. Then, as Schlotsky goes on and does this attack, all of a sudden, all of the costumes of clothes are to now all be on the ground, and he is to think that he is to have won here. Then all of a sudden, the red alien ranger appears, and it's to give him his order of a knuckle sandwich, and he punches him in the face. Schlotsky goes down, and eventually we have Rita and we have Zed calling upon their Make My Monster Grow moment. Shortly thereafter that, the Rangers all call uh, for their battle borgs, and they all go into fighting combat. So they all kind of flip into place here, or they all like flip into action. So at first we have both Blue and White Borg go on and do an attack against Schlotsky, followed up by the feat of Yellow and Black. Uh, then we would go on to see that they're doing some like cheerleading like attack here because what happens is the Yellow and the Black Ranger, they like prop their hands to where the Red Ranger can go on and kind of sit on both of them because they're going to launch the Red Ranger at some point. Or no, wait. I got that a little wrong. So what happens here is the Red Ranger just sits on the Yellow and Black Ranger's shoulders and ends up getting launched by uh, the Ranger. I got that a little confused, of course. So the Red Ranger gets launched, and that's what wipes out Schlotsky here. And shortly thereafter that, we have the Alien Rangers going on being covered by the news. It seems that I believe the mayor, yeah, from memory, the mayor, yeah, this is the mayor, because white hair, yeah, different outfit, but I think this is the mayor. The mayor is going on and doing a speech here that is to thank the Aquatarian Rangers. It also is quite interesting that the Alien Rangers are willing to give away their identity because I guess like the secret's out. They're aliens. Who cares? Like so, the mayor is to go on and give every one of these alien rangers all awards. I'm like, man, like this is happening really quickly. It's strange. Like compared to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, how they were kind of like, well, what side are they on? Ooh, I don't know. Like, like they were very unsure about the Power Rangers, but now all of a sudden when these Alien Rangers come in, they're like giving them awards and kissing babies and hugging whatever. Yeah, like it's strange. So, but I guess we just have a really short amount of time for us to have these characters with, so we're just doing this now. So the Young Rangers with Billy are all going on and looking on. And oh, here's the point where Billy is to talk about how things are kind of getting worse here. I forgot about that. Like I thought it was in place somewhere else. So, but here's where they go in and they bring up the whole like, yeah, the Alien Rangers like they're showing off their identity in public. It's so strange because normally they would be hiding their identities. But if anything, they're not Rangers anymore. But also, it's kind of interesting how like the Alien Rangers are now celebrities. So, so yeah, so they're going on and on about that, and they also have to recap how, like, yeah, it kind of sucks that we've all lost our power coins, and yeah, like, uh, so yeah, did that wrap up the episode? Like, let me go on and let me pause here. Yeah, I believe that must have. If I'm wrong, then you can correct me in the comments. So, because I was thinking, like, is that the credits? Like, I don't know. I just kind of, I guess I probably should have gone on and should have clipped it where, like, the episode did end. 'Cause I just had that problem, where I just, like, if anything, also, when I was to go on and actually watch these episodes, I was extremely tired by this point. So there's a lot of just mistakes that I made that I wasn't thinking. Uh, because I was just trying to also get this done as quickly as possible because I knew I was trying to get this to be reviewed, but I was like so tired. I'm like, okay, I'll just do this the following morning and hope for the best. So now we are making our way into what is to now be this episode. Hopefully, we have both Tommy and Kat, and they are to be in front of a device that Billy had designed. We of course go on and have Tommy that needs to explain to Kat what this device is. And yeah, Tommy probably is not the guy to need to explain this. But anyways, um so both Billy and Kat are at this device, and we have this one old lady that comes into frame here. It's like, well, hey, the two of you shouldn't be around this scientific device for how young the two of you are. And like the two of them are waiting for Billy to come in here anyways. So the old lady goes on and continues to talk to them until Billy arrives off from the distance. Billy goes on and says, like, hey, yeah, I told you to stop playing with my experiment. Uh, so Billy goes on to explain to this woman that he is their brother, and eventually the woman's like, oh, like, it seems that you're to go on and be of a proper age to just be a guardian of these two kids. Oh, I'll be fine with that. So the one walks off, and Tommy goes on and looks at Billy. He's like, what? What did you say to her? And Billy's like, well, yeah, I was just going to make something up. So I didn't really think it through. So Billy goes on and opens up this briefcase. And goes on to talk to both Tommy and the cat here. They hope that this device that they're putting together is going to hopefully help the equations be able to be able to live on Earth and have their atmosphere match Aquitar's, the whole thing within this episode. And that's a whole explanation that I feel that I really only need to give here. So after Zed is to go on and overhear this, he is to go on and realize, well, I'm going to go on and put a damper on their whole rehydration plans. So we now cut to the command center. Both Billy and Cicero are looking at this device, and Cicero is mentioning how impressive it is, and how eventually uh, Cicero falls over because he is to be so dehydrated. Now there is a bit of concern of where all the other alien rangers are to actually be, and so it's like, okay, where are all the other alien rangers, because if anything, they'll probably go on and they'll start crashing like or Cestro is. So, come to find out, all the alien rangers have made their way to an ice cream truck where the young rangers are going on and giving all the alien rangers ice cream. So, the alien rangers are all eating all of this ice cream and they're really enjoying it. Uh, and then eventually the ice cream truck driver is like, "Hey, are you guys finally done? Like, can I leave?" And Keta's like, "Okay." And so the ice truck guy goes on and puts a sold out sign and then drives off. I guess saying that, man, those alien rangers really pounded away that ice cream. So now the young rangers and the alien rangers have gone on to make their way to spot both Bulk and Skull. Delphine is curious about what the two of them are doing, and eventually the young rangers explain that Bulk and Skull are fishing, and the alien rangers are like, "Fishing? What? Huh?" Yeah, going on and trying to obtain fish, and the alien rangers are somewhat upset about that and offended by it. So the alien rangers go on and try to use their uh, telepathic powers to try and stop Bulk and Skull from going on and fishing. And all of a sudden, we start to see the alien rangers start to drop like flies. Delphine goes first. Then we have the yellow ranger, who is Titus. And then Billy makes his way with Sestro, and just to say, "Hey, yeah, guys, we're ready. We have the devices put in place. If anything, you guys now need to go on and go into the water so you can get rehydrated." So now Zed needs to come up with a monster. And what better way to come up with a monster that can be very toxic? So then the next thing we see is both Rito and Goldar that appear from the command of Lord Zed for him to go down there. And both Goldar and Rito's plan is to try to get the device to stop the alien rangers from rehydrating. So what happens next is Rito and Goldar appear and a boat is behind them. We'd have the alien rangers, even in their weakened state, realize that they need to go on and still try to defend themselves from Rito and Goldar. So the alien rangers use their telepathic powers one more time to thrust both Rito and Goldar into this boat, forcing them onto the boat and off into the water, and eventually away from any possible threat that they could actually be. Zed goes on and watches through his eyes what had happened to both Goldar and Rito, and it's realized, like, well, like, of course they lost. So, oh, this is where they go on and they talk about how they talk about being toxic, and that there could be some lunar toxic waste uh, that they can use against these galactic goody gooders, and so on and so forth. So now we cut to both Merrick the Barbaric and Eric the Barbaric. So Merrick and Eric, I'm definitely not going to get those names confused. Very easy. I'll just call them the Barbarics because they're always together most of the time. So the Barbarics appear in frame here to make their way to the alien rangers. So Billy goes on and adjusts the device for the aliens to make their way onto the water. The aliens start to hydrate as per before, and then the barbarics pour in the toxic waste into the water, having the water all now turn to a purple or a pink. So the alien rangers are now feeling the effects of this toxic water. And so both Rito and Golar get out of the boat, and Rito is to have a device that is to almost be tractor beam esh, that is to put a beam over the alien rangers and keep them in place. Now, since the young rangers and Billy are to go on and be there, they have to come up with a strategy to get Rito from using this device. So what happens here is the young rangers go on and they're going to play tag, bizarrely. So they're telling Rito and Goldar, hey, we're going to play tag. And so eventually, I think Rito ends up being in. Eventually, Rito is to try to chase after Tommy. Tommy falls to the ground, and Rito's like, well, hey, I found you, Tommy. And Tommy's like, well, yeah, that's the point. So Tommy goes on and falls to the ground, but then kicks Rito from behind. The tractor beam ash-like device goes flying out of Rito's hand, falling into Billy's. Billy's goes on to stop the device from controlling the alien rangers and keep them into that location so they can get out of there, so they can be safe. But if anything, they also have to go on and face off against the barbarics, the alien rangers do, and have to do it, of course, with not exactly being 100%. But anyways, so and I think I can cut through a lot of stuff here. There probably could be some things that I could have mentioned about Rito and Zed, or Rita and Zed, or I probably could have even mentioned stuff about Alpha and Zordon. But all that stuff is just very brief stuff that doesn't exactly need to be said here. I'm just going to cut to the point. And this is where they cover the whole tag thing. The Rangers go on and they huddle up and they come up with a plan, and then they do the whole tag. So really, a lot of this will all be covered here, and yeah. So after the failing of the alien Rangers escaping, we now are back at the Moon Palace. So Rita and Zed are complaining about Rito and how he should go on and be just divvied up his bones to all be a meal for a dog and a pound. And Rita is to say that it may not actually be Rito's fault, it actually might be Goldar's fault. So we now cut to the alien Rangers. And they're telepathically speaking to Zordon because, heaven forbid, they actually have a communicator. So Zordon is talking to them, and we see it through this weird bubble that has Zordon's face on it of what exactly he's going on and he's saying here. So they're to be informed about the toxic brothers, or the barbaric brothers, and so eventually the alien rangers go into morphing, they go on to fighting. So this then goes on to quickly have both Rita and both Zed have their monsters be made bigger. So we then have our alien rangers that are to be forced to go into uh, Battleborg combat. So we're not even getting to any fighting. It's going just straight to the Zords. So this is the 4th episode. So I have one more episode to go here, and then we'll call this a review. This is actually nice to only be at 2 hours. Hopefully, I can get it under 3. I hope, but let's get quick here. So the Barbaric brothers are facing off against the Battleborgs here. So we would go on to find Eric out of the two monsters. Eric, it seems to have quite a bit of like I want to say like blade or saw blade like weaponry from his arms. But anyways, I I'm trying to think of exactly what's going on here. Like I want to just say that the yellow and blue ranger going on attacking Eric as the red ranger is going after Merrick. So the yellow and blue ranger are going on and attacking Eric, who's in blue, and the red ranger is in his Battleborg facing off against Merrick, who's in the yellow or in the orange. My bad, orange, full orange. So, uh, so Eric in the blue goes on and takes down both yellow and blue alien rangers in their Battleborgs. So the then black alien ranger Battleborg is to face off against Eric, and Eric in the blue goes on, enlists the Black Ranger over his head, and goes on and throws the Black Alien Ranger. Some of this telepathy stuff is not to actually be perfect at some points in this fight here, and it becomes obvious. Uh, like, we even have a point where they're to go on and call it, like, hey, put my Battleborg down, and then the person ends up going flying after that. It doesn't quite make any sense. But if anyways, I guess you can't get everything perfect. So the Red Ranger is so the Rangers are going on and trying to figure out how to defeat these monsters as they're very difficult. And the simplest explanation is like, well, we need to use our powers to defeat them. What else could you just do? What other thing could you try? I'm so baffled. So Merrick in orange is to go on and attack the white. I'm getting Merrick in the orange is going on and attacking Delphine. God dang it, these names. La la la. So, Merrick takes the white Battleborg down, and then goes on shortly thereafter that and faces off against the red. Merrick goes on to take the red Battleborg down, and then Eric in blue grabs the red Battleborg Zord, and now the red Battleborg Zord is now to be constrained and is going to soon be drilled by Merrick in the orange. Eventually, the Red Ranger comes up with a flip to where he can dodge away from this attack and gets scrambling away. And then the Rangers go on and do this attack to combine their energies. So they energize. So what they do here is shortly thereafter that the Shogun Zords appear, then the Shogun Megazord appears, then they end up getting their saber, the saber the flame saber to go on and slice through the two monsters, taking them both down simultaneously. So now we're back with the Moon Palace, and Rito is going on and talking about the telescope and how he doesn't understand it. How there's just a weird, goofy eye looking back at him. It's like, well, yeah, because you're not using the telescope right. So so that's the only thing that is really taken from away from that. Zed is going to mention about how he has a migraine, like kind of stealing kind of Rita's shtick. And like there is kind of a little bit of funny dialogue here, but if anything, it's just kind of like, hey, let's get through this episode. So back at the command center, they realize that the device that they have to try to rehydrate the alien rangers has gone on and has had a only one time use. The whole toxic thing to be put in the device has kind of rendered this device useless. So, if anything, the alien rangers at this point are realizing that they need to go back to Aquitar. Uh, because if anything, that is to be a thing that they absolutely need to do. So, so that way they can get rehydrated. Uh, but also they go on and have the alien rangers mention how honored they are and how there's never a battle that they will run from and so on and so forth. So we then roll into credits. So now we get into the very last episode here, Attack of the 60s Bulk. Or 60, whatever bulk. So we now go to Splash City, this water locale, and we now have Mr. Wilton, Mr. God, what is his name? Yeah, Mr. Wilton. Yeah, for the criminy. Yeah, like I was thinking, like, am I gonna get this name wrong? Yeah, looking at the freaking caption. Yeah, I got this right. I'm thinking like it's Wilton, right? It's a weird name, but if anything, so Mr. Wilton is with the young kids and Billy, and like it is really interesting to see Mr. Wilton here because eventually another human being becomes another monster within this episode. So it's really cool that he's here because he's such a, in all honesty, he's kind of a small character. But it's really interesting how they have reoccurring characters within the show. Like there is to even be at a point before where there's to be this small character with Bulk and Skull, that they were giving him a parking ticket, and we end up seeing that guy here as this like lifeguard at this Splash City park. We end up seeing him here, to where he ended up kind of scaring both Bulk and Skull, and they run off within this episode. So they're going into Splash City, and so they explain about how within this park that there's to be a chaperone, there's to be an uncle here, and so they go off into this park. So so within this park, let's see here. Let me pause here for a second. So the beginning, I was trying to figure out the perfect line of dialogue to just rattle off here. So Billy and the group of kids all get together, and they're all asking about the equations and if they had made it back to uh, to of course their planet, and if they're okay. So Billy goes on and he calls up Alpha to ask if the aliens are okay and if they made it to Aquitar. And so the equations go on and they're speaking with Zordon, and so the equations go on and tell Zordon that it seems that they are to uh, be nearly rehydrated, and for them to give their regards to the Rangers, uh, and thank them and thank Zordon and so on and so forth. So so Billy is to go on and relay to the rest of the Rangers that good news, the equations did go on and they did make it to Aquitar. They're fine. They're okay. If anything, they say they send their regards. So here's the strange thing. So they go on and they talk about how young the Rangers are now, and how that the Rangers all need to go on and need to get to a physical release. What the does that mean? That was the creepiest thing I have ever heard in a Power Rangers episode ever. A lot of people will be like, what are you talking about, physical release? No, like, physical release? When I think of physical release, I'm thinking of something else in the gutter. But yeah, they said the word about physical release, and I was just like godsmacked about that. I was like, what? Like, what? Physical release? What? So the physical release is to basically say that, hey, go and have fun. Uh, like a stress reliever. But if anything, I'm thinking of physical release in the wrong way of things. Like, what the does that mean? Like, what are they trying to say here? What a creepy show this is. Anyways, so now we cut to Zed and Rita going on at the Moon Palace. Having me try to figure out what the heck to say here is always a challenging thing. So, uh, so the Rangers are going, or Zed and Rita are going on, and they're talking about the alien Rangers and how it seems uh, that the alien Rangers have gone on to be so busy soaking back up on their equation roots that uh, eventually that they have kind of made both of these worlds, these are their oysters. So if anything, Zed is going on and wanting to come up with some kind of weakness that he can exploit. So Zed is hoping that eventually he can go on and find some bully within the group of these people. And then that bully he's going to go on and make become a monster within this episode. So he's hoping he's going to go on and find the perfect kid. So we go on and we see a number of kids that are all going down these slides. Eventually, we also see Mr. Wilton go down the slide. So the further and further we go on here, we see Bulk and Skull. And here's where they end up getting stopped by this lifeguard, and they end up getting scared and running off. So, as Cat laughs. So, man, I am having a problem with this last episode. All right, my apologies. I kind of spaced out about this whole bit of part of the episode. So, let me go on and let me readjust myself. So Zed would go on and eventually talk about this scroll, this map, that eventually is going to lead the two of these men underneath the command center. And eventually they'll go on and they'll find something very valuable there. But also, they will go on and need to have this device with them. And the device is to be is to be I'm trying to think of exactly what the it's the destruction mechanism. So here's the thing. So again, like both Rito and Gola are going underneath the command center, and there's no bells and whistles that go off. Maybe there is going to be, and Alpha and Zordon will figure out what it is. But either way, so they go on and they give both Rito and Goldar this map. Rito takes it and he rips it in half. And he says, like, oh, now Goldar has a map and I have a map. But it's like, that's not how it works. So we now cut to back to Splash City. And Bulk is now on this slide. And as the two of them make it out of the slide, both Rocky and Aisha are laughing at them off in the distance. So now here's where Zed and Rita are going on and looking at Bulk, like, yeah, this is the guy, this is the bully, this is the one that we're gonna turn into a monster. It makes perfect sense. So both Bulk and Skull notice that someone is coming from down the slide. And they decide to put a bunch of tubing and throw it at them. And eventually they come down the slide with just a bunch of tubing all over their faces. They look ridiculous. Bulk and Skull start laughing as we see the young Rangers making their way from out of the water. Billy talks to us Rangers and says how eventually Bulk and Skull at some point need to learn a lesson, and so Billy goes on to realize, like, well, hey, I'll go on and I'll be the guy. Since I'm older out of the group, like, I'll go over there and I'll talk to them. So simultaneously as that is going on, as Billy confronts both Bulk and Skull, here is where Bulk is to turn into Monster. He's to turn into Brat Boy, which is kind of fitting for this monster. So, as Brat Boy appears here and grabs onto Billy, we then would have Billy rush away to grab onto his miniature viewing globe device to call out to Zordon and Alpha that it's like, hey, like, you guys need to call the Alien Rangers here because, yeah, like, Brat Boy, this monster is attacking. So we now cut to Aquitar. The Alien Rangers are to be informed what is going on, and so they rush to Morph. They all quickly teleport their way to Earth and face off against the Brat Boy. So what happens here is quite a bit of flipping and flopping, and then the Rangers continue to make their way through the Splash City. Eventually, as they continue to fly and flip and attack here, which none of this makes any sense. We have at one point where Brat Boy is to turn to his shoes and adjust the joystick toggles of them to kind of power himself up. So we have at one point where the alien rangers, after flipping and flopping and attacking this monster, have even made their way into the water. And Brat Boy is like, "Wait, I'm gonna wait till you come out of there. You can't stay in there forever." Yeah, you don't know who these people are. So both Red and Blue Ranger go on to pour a bucket of water over Brat Boy, and we have the Yellow Ranger that thrusts Brat Boy into this tube and sends him down this slide. And as Brat Boy gets back up and he's so frustrated, we all of a sudden see off in the distance the Alien Rangers all going on and sipping mojitos, and they're they're on their lawn chairs, and they're having a good time. They're enjoying the tropical beach environment of what have you. So kind of going on and kind of mocking Brat Boy. It's like, you're in the water, you look like a joke. So we then go on and have both Zed and Rita that combine their staffs together, turning Brat Boy a gigantic, and then eventually, uh, the Rangers start to realize that they need to call upon their battle Borgs. Uh, so, as the Battle Borgs appear to face off against the Brat Boy, the Battleborg goes on to attack both red and blue Battleborgs, thrusting them back to where we see in the telepathic attack, we see both white and red Ranger go on and thrust so much so into a semi truck trailer. To where I'm like, man, that looks like it hurt. Because yeah, they just threw themselves onto this thing. Yeah, like I'm sure it did hurt. So the Black Alien Ranger comes into frame here, and he of course gets attacked and gets downed. Uh, the next thing we see is Skull making his way to the kids group, and Skull is starting to ask for where Bulk is, and asks him, "Hey, have you seen him?" And so shortly thereafter that, Billy goes on to the communicator and calls for Zordon. So if anything, Billy and Zordon is coming up with some kind of strategy uh, that maybe they can do something to figure out how uh, to get Bulk from out of the monster. Because if anything, they realize like, hey, Bulk is with inside of this thing. We have to realize that. So like we have to figure out some kind of way to defeat this monster. So so if anything, Billy goes on and asks Zordon where exactly the Alien Rangers are in their battle location because they're going to get there. And the Rangers are all going on and saying that they need to go on and they need to act because Bulk is technically their friend and they need to try to save him. I'm paraphrasing here, hugely paraphrasing. So the Rangers are to all be teleported on to the battlefield, and so the young Rangers are all going on and crying out to Bulk that they are his friend. And So it is kind of funny with a little bit of this caption because at some point you'll get some kind of funny uh bits of fun things here. There's one point where like they say BS in this dialogue, or they say F back or whatever. Because the caption is just so poorly done. God, if anything, YouTube, fix your freaking caption stuff. Good God, people who are to go on and be afflicted with the inability to hear, like, aren't going to get anything from these captions. Man, it must suck for anybody trying to watch just YouTube videos if they can't hear. Because, yeah, like, how are they going to be able to go on and how are they going to be able to watch these videos? They just aren't. Or just not enjoy them as much as anyone else would. I guess they can probably get something from maybe gameplay, right? Anyways, if they can't really hear what's going on. So, after the Rangers are all trying to speak to Bulk, eventually Bulk does come back into reverting to his normal self and goes back to the ground. And both Rita and Zed are to go on and be like, no, like it's not going to be that easy. So Zed and Rita go on and thrust out their wands, and Bulk turns right back into Brat Boy. So as the Rangers continue to go on and eventually uh God, this is so not good. uh so they go on and they change it back to Brat Boy, and God, let me pause here for a second. Let me try to figure this out. All right, so how this last bit of episode was to just be put together was just all jumbled. So let's correct this the best we can. So as the Rangers and as both Brat Boy like are fighting with Rita and Zed, because what happens here is as Bulk turns back to normal Bulk, both Rita and Zed turn him back to Brat Boy, and then the Rangers are talking to him and trying to like hey, we're your friend. Da, da, da. So eventually Brat Boy is being told by Rita and Zed what to do, and Brat Boy is kind of getting upset and no longer wants to go on and be told what to do. So he does this blast attack that goes on to even reach as far as the Moon Palace to create so much havoc there that finally Brat Boy turns right back into normal Bulk. And then is to be kind of on the ground, kind of passed out. So uh, the Alien Rangers return, and Alien Rangers make their way to the young Rangers, and so as they're talking, the Alien Rangers kind of think the Rangers like, well, hey, you guys saved us, like you figured out how to beat the Rangers without any powers, like ooh yeah, like yeah. So if anything, the Alien Rangers leave, and so Billy goes on and calls the command center. It's like, hey, let's go on and let's get teleported right back to the Splash City, so that way Bulk will think that this is all just a dream. So as Bulk wakes up, he does assume that it is all just a dream, and Rocky tells him, "Yeah, you hit your head really hard. Yeah, nothing really ever happened." So Bulk reunites with Skull, and then they make their way out of there. And as Billy goes on and gets a call from Zordon, they're told to be teleporting to the command center. The next thing we see is both Goldar and Rito having a really difficult issue trying to figure out this map. They can't seem to read it. They're trying to figure out where the heck a door is, and they're trying to figure it out. So at some point, they end up getting so upset with one another that eventually Rito goes on and bursts out this fire-like attack and burns a bit of Goldar's map and tells him like, "Well, hey, if anything, you should probably the next thing we should do is throw that map down." So the Rangers make their way to the command center, and Zordon is going on to explain to the young Rangers how the only thing that can be able to go on and finally fix this whole situation is the Zeo crystals, forcing the Rangers to now have to go on and go back in time and space and try to figure out where the heck these Zeo crystals are, reobtain them, because also these guys need the Zeo crystals to become the Zeo Power Rangers. So eventually they go on and they explain like, well, hey Zordon, don't you remember we took all these crystals and and we sent them all over, and how is it that we're going to go on and be able, and so Zorna is going to eventually send out all of these rangers to try and retrieve these crystals to become these rangers to go on and become the Zeo Rangers. So eventually, that is the whole crux by the end of the show, and really that's how we are to go on and kind of wrap up this one. So I'm going to get the heck out of here. I have to also go on and because if you're going on and seeing the 4 minutes and whatever, uh, god dang it, I was so close to the end there. All I needed was a couple more god dang minutes. Oh well. Like this one, like was so, uh, like man, I would really like it if I could go on and to have watched these episodes and then go right into reviewing it, because sometimes I just think it's a little bit better. Because what I've been doing lately is I've been watching the episodes and then I'll sleep and then I'll wake up the very next day and try my best to figure out the quickest way to review this. And sometimes that's good because I can rest my brain and I can come in here and just remember it all. But then sometimes it's really just hit or miss. It's really sloppy like this one is. So I apologize. Uh, yeah, there were times where I was just clearly like, I don't understand what part of episode this is. Um, but if anything, yeah, I'm gonna try my best. Yeah, like I hope that eventually, uh, hopefully I'll go on and figure out a way to just do this a little bit better, to know where exactly I'm going through some of these episodes. But I sometimes just get confused. It just happens. Plus also if like probably reviewing 5 episodes probably isn't the best. But if anything, um, I always go on and just think like, well, I think just try to get like the most out of this. Uh, because obviously there were times where I'd go on and I would just either review one episode, or I would go on and review a handful of like 3 episodes of certain things. But yeah, always going on and always doing 5. Or there was a point where I was like, I was doing 10. I'm like, how was I even doing that? How is it doing any of that and trying to get any of it right? Is just to be like, man, that was like, I guess I really had a good memory there. But if anything, now I'm just like questioning how good I was, uh, or how it's like, man, I must have just uh, been able to just do these reviews and be able to somehow remember all this stuff, and now I'm just not good at it. Maybe also it's to be because I tend to just have some gaps of time when I do reviews, so it's just kind of to be sluggish of when I get back into it. Who knows? Either way, At least this is going to be an uploaded thing. Thank you for going on and watching it. However, you were going on and digesting this. Yeah, I can even understand why people are to not go on and watch these whole things. Clearly, just the way that I talk about them and how I go in depth about these things. Yeah, like I can clearly understand why people don't watch these whole videos. But uh, that's fine. Like, if anything, there's always a point where I can always go on and always re-review any of this stuff. There's always a chance that I can go on and re-review anything. I can have a different take on it. I can have a different feel about it. I can do it in a different way. I could just review one episode. There could be any numbers of ways in which that I could approach this. And I've done Power Rangers in a number of different ways. If anything, also, these episodes aren't as familiar to me as other things. Like there were so many episodes in the past where I feel like I've watched so many of them before, so I kind of knew how to approach all these. Whereas like this, like it's not as familiar. It's not as like I remember these episodes. I really don't. Um, I don't really remember these specific episodes because I think they're just were poorly written, and that's why I don't remember them that well. As far as rewatching them before. But anyways, I'm going to get the heck out of here to just upload this to hope for the best. It seems that these videos are seemingly doing well, which I'm very grateful for everybody going on and doing that. Thank you for really just cranking out the views on what is to be these things. A lot of people may go on and say that 100 views isn't a lot. It's a lot to me. It's more so than um, some of the other projects that are going on and going out right now uh, that sometimes may not go on and get much of any views. But if anything, even a one view, even if a brief 10-second one view thing does help out the channel. And at this point, like I'm looking at the stats and seeing that it's like, well, yeah, it seems that 98% of it is to be people who aren't subscribed um, and are new people. Uh, but then there's also to be like 2%. So, like, what does that even mean? So it's like basically saying that no one that I've already that is just subscribed really watches my content. That it's all just new people, which I kind of figured that out anyways. Like I kind of figured that I would always just be getting new people instead of recurring ones, because I'm still, even though I've gotten to the point of almost getting to 500 subscribers, still like it's hard to win everyone over. Like it's hard to go on and find the perfect content every time that's going to be the best foot forward kind of thing. So it's plus also I'm very inconsistent. That is to be the biggest problem. If I was more consistent on uploading, if I was to be more like trustworthy with that and trustworthy that every video is going to be a positive thing or it's going to be uh, like because there's sometimes where some people could probably think that I'm going with like, oh yeah, I have to go with the obvious choices, um, like Raccoon City, Resident Evil Apocalypse, that recent review, really timelining exactly when this is coming out. A lot of people could probably think like, oh yeah, that's the obvious, yeah, like Resident Evil is to be like, no, I honestly, yeah, I had watched Resident Evil Requiem gameplays, but I was thinking like, yeah, I remember this Resident Evil movie. I'd watched it in the past, and I thought it was actually a really good movie. I thought it was like, okay, this is gonna be cool to watch. Plus, also, uh, like it's Resident Evil, and some people will probably be interested in it. So that was my thought. Um, but also it's like, yeah, I'd seen so much Resident Evil content lately. It just kind of felt like too good to ignore. Also, that it seems that everybody's going on and liking Resident Evil. But yeah, I could see how a lot of people are to go on and just assume stuff about me or about the channel. But I'm always to be very honest with people. There's sometimes where I feel uh, that maybe something that I said in some other video doesn't match maybe this one, it's probably based on however I feel that day. Really, like, that's why I'm to be probably very inconsistent. Like, there's a lot of times where I just don't know also some certain bit of information. Like, there is one thing where I'm going on and I'm thinking, like, the Alien 3 movie isn't all that bad, right? Like, I think it's as good as the other ones. And then all of a sudden, I finally went to go on and watch that movie. I'm like, oh man, that movie's horrible. What the fuck? So yeah. So there are times of just like misinformation or just memory is not that good of whatever I said um, in X number of things. But also, my memory of things is also like amazing at some points. So cherry pick and choose uh how you want to go on and take everything from me. But I hope the one thing that you take is where you can go on and find this stuff and watch it for free and not have to go through a subscription. Like, that's all that I hope that people are going to get out of these videos is they can, through me, find an app, find something that you'll be able to watch a movie or a show for absolutely free and not have to pay a fee for it, because a lot of this stuff probably coming down the pipeline much more in new release form is not that good. Or also, like, I'm just trying to protect people to be like, yeah, this movie is not that good. So that way, hey, don't rush to the theater to see it, because everybody, it seems that now at this point, it's just, hey, we need something to do. Um, and this is the only movie out. Is it any good? Yeah, like, take my X number of early parts of this video and then just get your clear consensus on this movie instead of going on and watching the whole thing. I'm not putting a gun to anybody's head to tell everybody, watch this whole thing. No. Like, I'm just telling people, hey, the rest of this content is all there, but if anything, the meat and the potatoes is in the early part of the video. Um, and the people that go on and comment on the video. They complain about how long the video is and did. That's just somebody that hadn't really gone on to watch the whole video. That's someone that clearly did not watch the whole video. So that's on them. Because if they would have watched a good chunk of the video, at least the first 10 to 30 minutes, you'll get everything that you need to there, and then you could leave. And people don't get that. That's on them. Like, that's on them that they did not go on. They just looked at the runtime immediately when they got in here, and then they clicked off and they were upset. I also, honestly, at this point, may even go on and do my lengthy videos just because, really just because at this point, people continue to make that comment. So it just is like, cool, I can get comments simply by people going on and saying that. I don't like getting negative things against me. I don't like people um like, that is not going to make my day by somebody having to complain about something that they don't like about me. Uh I would go on and have at some certain points people talking about the way I look or the way I this or the way I that. The way, like, weirdly, when I started this channel, there was somebody that was to go on and just like not go on and not talk about the specific movie whatsoever. If anything, they were just talking about me, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, if anything, like, who cares about me? Like, care about the content. Like, care about the movie or the show. Like, if anything, I'm just a vessel for whatever this thing is that you're going to like and enjoy or whatever, want an opinion upon, which I am that person, evidently. But if I'm not, then that's fine. But if anything, don't take it out on me. Like, don't take it on me that, like, I didn't have the best opinion for you. Like, yeah, there's some reviews that I realize that I probably do talk very long-windedly, and I may not have an exact concrete opinion of like, see this, don't see this, whatever. And there's a lot of people that feel that they get nothing from their view. And that's when I look at it, I'm like, okay, then maybe I should be doing this better. I should be thinking of a way to try to figure out some movies I can reference with this movie. If you don't like this one, check out this. Like, that's why I did those in every one of these videos. So that way I can go on and say, hey, if you don't like this movie, check out this instead. Like, I'm giving you information to, in the best way, try to help out your day. And I hope that always comes off that way. Um, like, yeah, um, like it never, like, having a negative thing to be said against me, like, it doesn't make me want to, like, it doesn't make me like, oh no, I don't want to ever do this YouTube thing anymore because I'm butthurt by something that somebody said. That never does go on and and drives me to not do this by getting a negative comment. Like, that stuff just is like, oh well, like, but a lot of the times the negative comment just comes at the wrong time. Like, it'll come in when the channel's not doing well. It'll come in when, like, I'm having a really, like, the worst day. Like, I'm horribly sick, but I'm still like, but I'm gonna do this video. And immediately I come in here with a comment, and it's like, yeah, 2 hour, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, when that happens, that goes on, and it's just like, you know what, I don't want to take the day off. Like, I'm dreadfully sick. Like, I was having pneumonia, and there was a lot of times where I was just like, I should not be doing a video. I feel horrible, but I'll do a video anyways. Even though this could go on and make me feel worse later, I'll still do this video. And it did make me worse, but I did it anyways. Um, but that's how much I care. And, uh, but every once in a while also, I'll get this random positive comment too also. So I'm not saying that everything is negative. Um, I also to probably feel that I'm to probably to have been very negative about so many things. And so that's why I'm trying as much as possible to find the positive. I'm trying to be a different or better person within these reviews, even though clearly I can say I really didn't like these episodes as far as the writing is concerned, but I can figure out some kind of consolation prize out of all this. But yeah, but it's just, I'm trying to find the content that I can be more positive about. And I'm happy with living that life. I'm happy that you're all with me. If you're a rando, or if you're to be a person that's subscribed and is still listening to this long-winded conversation, yeah. I'm just to go on and say here that by the end of all this, we live such a short life. And if I'm to go on and fill so much time up with content upon this channel, I at least will want to use that time up with something I know I'm going to like, more so than guessing from a new release if it's going to be the greatest movie I've seen all year or the worst thing I have ever seen in my, just nonsense, just guttural trash. And maybe that could go on and be any number of my reviews, which is okay. Because if anything, all of these videos are whatever I felt that day. all these videos are go on and always be however I felt of however day. Um, because yeah, a lot of these videos did greatly affect me. Like look at within these reviews, like a different shade of pink. Like that bit of episodes from season 3 was like this is coming at the worst possible time. Like my mother was in the hospital. I was horribly sick with pneumonia. Um, I still to this day am so concerned about going back into workouts because of just like pneumonia of when I had that, and I was just kind of like, yeah, like, am I gonna go on and am I gonna be able to work out? And am I gonna actually like not worry that I'll feel horribly sick afterwards? Yeah, that was a very much concern or a fear that I had even after like I was to start to feel better. Um, I was to really go on and be like, well, yeah, maybe I should get back into working out. But I'm also just still like in the back of my mind, like if I do one workout, am I gonna feel good after? Or like how am I gonna feel? And so I do want to get back into workouts because also I'm realizing that that I it's either that or I just fast all day and eat nothing. So if I exercise, at least I'll go on and be able to eat and then be able to lose weight also. Uh, because it's either that or I just fast all day and I eat nothing. So, or I can eat very, very small portions and eventually. Luckily, when I do that, like there were times where I'd go on and I would eat very small portions for a good chunk of time, and then I would start to feel sick. Just because that's what dieting does to you when you diet down too low. Um, but here's the thing: there was like months where I would go on and eat very small portions of, and I'd be fine. So, but yeah, a lot of people would call it like eating whatever, ED whatever. Like I would go on and I would just be like, no, like if anything, like I don't always do that. Like it just kind of depends on the day. Like there's some days where I think I eat a lot, and then I don't gain much weight, which is great. Uh, I'm just got to a point where it's like, yeah, I can kind of eat whatever at some points, um, as long as at a good portion. Like there's some days where I have like 2 meals and I don't even think about it, or I don't even remember. It's like, oh, is it second meal day? Oh, I guess, but I don't know. But yeah, like so, I'm not keeping track of it. Like I'm not keeping track of what I eat, when I eat, where I'm not keeping track of any of that. But if anything, like I do want to hope that I can get back into working out. I think what I'll do is I'll get back into working out, but I'll get like really small little things here at a time. It probably won't help me lose weight much, but at least it'll be something. And eventually I'll kind of get a momentum started to uh, really getting back into my regular bits of workouts. So I hope that that's going to work out well. I might try to go on and do that probably tomorrow. Um, so we're going to be back to probably maybe every other day doing videos. But then at least after 3 days, you're going to go on or after technically 6 days of kind of every other. Then you're going to go on and probably get uh, kind of videos very consistently because I'll have lighter workouts and be able to get those done. So I don't know. I'll hope for the best for whatever this is. I've gone on a huge rant here that is a waste of your time, but I apologize. If anything, I haven't really talked in a number of days, so I just want to just go on, just give my thoughts and just I don't know. Like there is every once in a while where I was kind of tempted to just do a video where I just kind of talked, and it wasn't about a review, it wasn't about current events, it was just me talking. I always knew that those would never do well, but also it was just like, why not? Like, who cares? Like, have fun. Um, so with that said, I'm gonna get the heck out of here and have more fun and probably grind on Timu and hope that I can finally get some more shirts and some more goofy stuff. So I'm gonna get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.